So what can you learn from a prison cell? Well, as it turns out, maybe a whole new way of seeing the world. We're about to dive into the core message from Said Nursi's The 28th Flash, and it's a journey where a simple observation about a fly unfolds into a really profound philosophy.
And it all starts here, with this simple, almost trivial disagreement. Inside a prison cell, the author looks at the flies on a washing line and sees them as miniature birds, something to be protected. But his friend, Rushdu, he just sees them as a nuisance. And this tiny moment, this clash of perspectives, becomes the spark for a whole new way of thinking.
So how in the world does a debate over a washing line lead to some profound lesson? Well, it all starts by questioning our most basic assumptions about something as common and maybe as annoying as a fly.
I mean, let's be honest. This is the default human perspective, right? Flies are pests. They're irritating, maybe a little dirty, and they're something you swat away without a second thought. That was Rushdu's view, and it's a view most of us probably share. It's practical, for sure, but as we're about to see, it might also be incredibly short-sighted.
But then, the author completely flips this on its head by bringing in a verse from the Quran. And this verse frames the fly not as an annoyance, but as an absolute miracle. The point here is that even if every human, every force we could possibly imagine, all came together, they couldn't create a single fly. Suddenly, the fly is redefined as a sign of some incredible, inimitable power.
And that leads to a really simple question. Why are there so many of them? The author's logic is that in a universe with purpose, abundance isn't just random. Think about it, like an important book being printed in millions of copies. A species that exists in such vast numbers, like flies, must have an equally vast importance. Their sheer numbers must mean they have a really important job to do.
Okay, so if the fly has a hidden purpose, that naturally leads to a bigger question. What about all the other creatures we overlook or, just plain dislike? The perspective here gets a lot wider, and it reframes the entire natural world as this incredible team of hidden workers. The author calls these creatures public health officials. You've got predators in the sea, they're not just killers. They're the ocean's cleanup crew, dealing with millions of corpses every day. You've got vultures, preventing the land from being covered in carcasses. And then you have the tiny ones, ants and flies, acting like these microscopic janitors, cleaning up poisons and microbes we can't even see. All of a sudden, these creatures have a vital, almost noble job.
Okay, now this is where it gets really fascinating. The text suggests there's a kind of natural or divine law that even governs predators. Their lawful food is what's already dead, which helps to clean up the whole system. Attacking a living animal is actually the exception, almost a transgression that has consequences. It points to this incredibly intricate and balanced moral order that's just woven right into nature itself.
So we've seen that creatures have a hidden function. But the author takes this a huge step further. See, it's not just about what they do, but about what their very existence means. The universe isn't just some giant machine. It's a message, just waiting for us to read it.
The core concept here is this creative command, be, and it is. In this worldview, creation isn't some struggle with physical stuff, it's an act of speech. Existence itself just flows from a divine word. And that means the universe is less like a big clunky machine and a lot more like a spoken story.
And hey, if creation is speech, then every single created thing, every fly, every ant, you, me, is an embodied word. We aren't just objects, we're meaningful expressions from a divine speaker. A fly stops being just a fly. It becomes a word that communicates concepts like artistry, complexity, and purpose. The world becomes a vast library, and every single creature is a book just waiting to be read.
So how are these divine meanings actually expressed? Well, this framework suggests the physical elements themselves are the medium. You have earth, which becomes the throne of life itself. Water is the throne of mercy and bounty. Light, the throne of wisdom. And air, the very element that carries speech, becomes the throne of divine will and command. They're the channels through which the Creator's message is delivered into the world.
Now that's all pretty cosmic, but how does any of this help someone sitting in a prison cell? This is where the theory becomes intensely personal. The author takes this lens and applies it to his own suffering, looking for the hidden meaning in his own hardship.
And what this reveals is that there are two possible ways to see any negative event. From the purely human point of view, his imprisonment is just injustice. It's suffering, period. But from this other perspective, the one he calls divine determining, you start asking totally different questions. What justice might be hidden here?
where's the mercy? What is the lesson I'm supposed to learn? It doesn't erase the pain, not at all, but it adds this profound layer of meaning.
And here's the incredible result. By applying this perspective, the author completely transformed his prison from a place of punishment into a place of instruction. He actually saw it as a form of mercy, an opportunity for him to learn and grow. So instead of complaining, he found a reason for deep, profound gratitude. This is that worldview in action.
So from a fly on a washing line all the way to reinterpreting suffering itself, this entire journey really comes down to one powerful idea. The lens through which you see the world determines the world you see.
And this is the ultimate takeaway. The guiding principle becomes gratitude. But this isn't about blind optimism or just pretending everything's okay. It's an active search for the mercy and the goodness that's hidden within every situation, every creature, every single moment. It's a conscious choice to try and read the world as a message of mercy, no matter how difficult or insignificant things might seem on the surface.
And that really brings it all back home, doesn't it? This whole incredible journey started by just paying attention to a fly. It makes you wonder, what's the fly in your own life? What's that small, everyday annoyance or detail that, if you just looked at it differently, could open up an entirely new universe of meaning for you?